Mindfulness is basically a relationship with your own mind. And, what is that? When you think about depression or anxiety or different things that we go through in our lives, like marital conflict, tragedies that we have, when we think about what our minds were doing during those experiences, a lot of times it's basically we're going over and over and over the same thing. A lot of rumination about the past, or anxiety or obsession about the future. And what mindfulness is sort of the ability to stop for a second and catch your breath. And it's sort of the experience of sort of waiting in the middle. And what that does is it calms down those ruminations, which lead to incredible stress. So the practice of mindfulness involves sort of, if you can think about any time you might have spent in nature, or just, relaxing with good music, or an athletic experience, all of those are sort of coming into the present moment. And we can't really do that, just in our daily lives unless we actually have a practice. And so mindfulness is actually a practice of returning to the present moment, which calms those distressing states of mind. And whether or not we're in a crisis in our lives, we might not have those extreme distress states that we have when we're depressed or we're anxious, but still our minds are sort of developing these habits as we just kind of go throughout these busy lives. We watch television, we go to work, we drive, and everything like that, and everything's really scattered. And so we're not really training our minds to be present on a daily basis. So then when life hits us with a crisis, we don't really have that stability of mind to sort of ground ourselves and maintain a sense of equanimity. So what mindfulness is that training. The components of mindfulness practice are curiosity to what is your experience, what's happening in your experience right now, an openness, acceptance, whatever is arising, and sort of a non-judgmental willingness to sort of be with it. Neuroscience of mindfulness now is starting to show that the same neural processes are active in mindfulness that are active when a child is securely attached to a parent. So what's increasing is the ability to regulate yourself. Like when you think of a kid who's securely attached to their parent, they're not all over the place often with their emotions. They know they belong, they know they're loved, they're grounded. That's what you're basically giving to yourself when you practice mindfulness, so that you can regulate your emotions. The body comes into balance, and that's connected to greater immunity. What it is, when a child is securely attached to their parent, there's an attunement that's happening. There's a, when you think about a mother really connecting with a baby, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you're sad. Da, 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 da. That's what you're actually doing with yourself when you're practicing mindfulness, and that calms everything. So, we talk about, as therapists, when people get really emotionally reactive, they are basically having an amygdala hijack. And the amygdala is a part of the brain that's fills your body with stress, and it takes over. It's kind of an ancient, prehistoric part of the brain that sort of goes into fight or flight. Well, and what mindfulness does is it takes the energy away from amygdala-based reactions and brings it into the prefrontal cortex, which is much more about rationality, objectivity, handling things with equanimity, being relaxed, and the ability to just sort of step back. If you think about if you were taking a mindfulness class and you're going through a bit of marital conflict, how do you bring mindfulness into your relationship? How do you say, okay, I had the same fight with my husband every single time. This time I'm going to take a step back, and I'm not going to say the same, thing that always gets him. I know exactly what his buttons are, but just for today I'm not going to push them, and I'm going to breathe instead. I'm going to see what happens. And so people take more and more of these sort of steps that calm everything down, and they realize that they actually benefit themselves. They're actually happier. The structure of the mindfulness-based stress reduction class is it's based on the model developed by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who, he's one of the main people studying mindfulness these days, and that's from the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. It's an 8-week class, and in the class we do 4 different mindfulness practices. The body scan, which is done lying down, going through every part of the body and working on relaxing the body. We do sitting meditation, mindful movement, or yoga. It's kind of a very gentle form of yoga, so it's pretty much any physical capability could do it, and walking meditation. And then the structure of the class is usually I have about 8 to 12 people in the class, and it's people find that that's kind of a hidden benefit, that they develop friendships and they feel a sense of support and a sense that every week they're going and something that they're working on, they're able to get support and feel like they have friends going through this process with them. So that's been very beneficial. After the 6th week of class, we do a 7.5-hour silent retreat, which seems to be pretty profound for some people, just to be silent for 7.5 hours and have a mindful lunch where you just eat by yourself. And usually we have beautiful weather, so we go out and do walking meditation and come back and sit and go out and walk again. So that's the structure of the class. People have homework, so they have about 45 minutes a day of guided meditation CDs to take home and do by themselves. And so if someone really keeps with the program, they seem to benefit from it. There are mindfulness classes, pretty much all over. I teach a mindfulness class pretty much twice a year, an 8-week class. So give Samaritan a call if you want to sign up for my class. If you want to read more about mindfulness, you want to read more about the science behind mindfulness, Dan Siegel, The Mindful Brain. It's a great book. If you want to read more about the 8-week course as it's set out, Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn pretty much sets out the whole course.